If this film inspires you in any way, just know that this is not an exaggeration. Every time I'm spending time outdoors with the people that mean the most to me, it becomes more and more apparent that I should spend less time doing anything else. Our lives are getting shorter and shorter every day. Overlanding the Backcountry Discovery Route delivered beautiful sights, large challenges, and amazing times bonding with friends, as well as meeting new amazing people. Enjoy the film. This is the Washington State Backcountry Discovery Route. We started our adventure on the southern end of the BDR. The Bridge of the Gods is where Section 1 of the BDR begins. We paid our toll and crossed the bridge. I wouldn't know it yet, but this was the beginning to one of the most enjoyable off-road trips I would ever go on. We aired down and we followed Mike and Kamelia up Section 1. Section 1 would afford us some incredible views of Mount Hood and Mount Adams. Of course, we would have to stop at every outcropping to enjoy the views, but we couldn't marvel forever. Our goal was to complete Section 1 the first day and camp on Bethel Ridge, our favorite part of Section 2. Our first day of the BDR included the drive down 2 hours north, so we were already limited on time. We continued onward.
Get it, Mike?
Get it, Big Mike! Seeing two?
Who knew?
Before long, we would find the impassable snow that we read about in recent trail reports. The amount of time we spent building our rigs up would hopefully be enough to pass through this snow without too much trouble. We would both get stuck once, but quick self-recoveries and we were on our way again. We would prove ourselves against the mountain snow, and for the rest of the trip, the mountain would let us pass willfully. We passed through the remainder of the snow and raced to the end of Section 1.
Section 1 down. Then we're going to go to the amazing view section. And then the work your ass off section.
Mike is referring to Section 2 and 3. Section 2 is our favorite part of the BDR. It provides incredible views atop ridgelines that you spend ample amounts of time driving on. Then Section 3. We knew that Section 3 still had a lot of work to do to become passable. We both brought chainsaws, lots of fuel, and lots of bar oil. People had been working on clearing the section from the other direction, so we knew we weren't at it alone. But there was something inside me that wanted to be a part of clearing that section. I wanted to help. I was hoping there would still be work for us to do when we got there. Not only would it add to the adventure, but we would be a part of the BDR being passable this year. And that was awesome. We got there after the sun had set behind a ridge, but we had done it. We were atop Bethel Ridge. We awoke to beautiful views of Mount Rainier and the surrounding peaks. We enjoyed camp, made breakfast, and eventually set off to complete Section 2. With trail reports of rigs having to winch themselves through muddy ruts in Section 2, we weren't sure what to expect. We had quite a bit of clearance, lockers, and a heavy right foot. Our Jeeps were able to get through this part of Section 2 relatively easily. This is not to brag in any way. We have spent an ample amount of time and money trying to prepare these vehicles for anything we might encounter. This would be the true test. A near 600-mile off-road adventure. I did my best to carry the spare parts that we could potentially break, and any necessary tools or gear we might need to work on the Jeeps. I received a radio call from Mike stating that his Jeep was overheating. We wouldn't know it at the time, but Mike's airbox took in a lot of mud in the beginning of Section 2. It made sense. I was trying to figure out why his Jeep was overheating and mine wasn't.
You should probably let it cool down and check your coolant and everything.
Mine theoretically was working harder with 40-inch tires. It eventually dawned on me that I had a snorkel, and he did not. Before we realized it was a clogged air filter, we of course checked everything else. Nothing leaking, radiator fins weren't clogged with mud, and he had coolant in the reservoir. Eventually, we would check the filter. Sure enough, clogged with mud, we did what we could to clean it out.
Oh my God!
We used his compressor to do what we could. This made a huge difference. Though, when climbing hills, his Jeep would still begin to overheat. It was a slow process. He would move a few hundred feet and have to pull over. Luckily, we weren't far from the highest point of this section, and it would be downhill from there. We had to get to an auto parts store before closing. We moved to Ellensburg as fast as his Jeep would let us. We made it to an AutoZone 5 minutes after closing, but they were nice enough to sell us a filter.
On the center console, it flashes temperature to 419.
Really?
Yeah, so at one point, the truck was at 419 degrees.
Crazy!
We bought a filter and drove up to the beginning of Section 3. Mike and Kamelia had just added a pressurized water tank to their Jeep. This came in handy.
He's mad. He bought this water system. I think it holds 4 gallons. 4 gallons, right?
4.5.
4.5 gallons, and he can pressurize it with his air compressor, so that it's not just a gravity-fed system. Like in this case scenario, it's down low, the water hose is up higher. We're going to need pressure to push it towards the front of the truck. So I don't know. I've never seen one. I'm excited to see it work. But I'm also excited to see Mike get more and more mad. This is really entertaining. Help! No one cares! Help! I make that joke every time. Nobody did. You know?
Nobody's ever stopped?
They just don't care. Like if you got a hood up.
Yeah.
Nope. We've been stranded out here for weeks and we're really...
We dried his airbox and installed the new filter. Camp was just around the corner. We established camp on a ridge overlooking Ellensburg. We enjoyed an amazing sunset. It was absolutely beautiful. We knew we had a long day ahead of us, so we called it a night early. Climbing the short hill to camp, Mike and Kamelia's Jeep's coolant temperature was still hovering above average. This was concerning, but it was going to wait until morning. Morning came early, and so did the bad news. Mike and Kamelia had headed into Ellensburg to take the Jeep to a shop to see if they could get a quick diagnosis.
We're not going. I have a blown head gasket.
Their Jeep had blown a head gasket. It made sense, and I had mentioned the possibility to them, but tried our best to stay positive until we knew for sure. I didn't want to complete the BDR alone. We had made these plans together a year ago. Kamelia and I discussed our options, and ultimately realized that if our Jeep had blown a head gasket, we would have wanted Mike and Kamelia to keep going. So we continued up Section 3 alone. Not only did we not have the company of Mike and Kamelia, nor a secondary rig for potential recoveries, or if something were to go wrong, but we were going into Section 3, which was going to require all the work, solo. Now we were down to one saw. We headed towards the deadfall in hopes that we would be able to clear it in one day. Eventually, we would reach the inevitable.
Okay.
You can see it.
Yeah.
Missing that middle section.
Uh-huh.
There's some more down trees around the corner, but I can assume, those down trees probably fell after someone cut that.
Yeah.
But I can tell by the sawdust that it's fairly recent.
Yeah.
So any down trees here on out are probably going to be less down trees.
Okay.
So I think we're going to be able to do it.
Cool.
That's good news.
That's good news.
I think we're going to be able to make way quicker progress. But yeah, that's a great sign right there.
That's awesome.
We would clear trees for several hours and eventually punch through. There is a bit of a washout in the middle of the trail in Section 3. The Jeep would go through it with ease, but as we were finishing up clearing the trees, a 4Runner would appear behind us pulling a trailer. I've always said everything about trailers are great, except that they are trailers. They can really cause a hindrance off-road.
No gas. Can you put it in neutral? No brake, no gas. Brake. gotta get the board off. Come forward a little bit. Go ahead and just put it in neutral. No gas, no brake. Yeah, straighten your tires out. That's good. Driver. Passenger. A little bit driver. Little passenger, right there.
With the 4Runner recovered and the path cleared, we would go our separate ways. We found a pull-off with incredible views. We couldn't help but stop for lunch.
Waves are rocking him to sleep. He can still hear her heartbeat. Hidden secrets are hard to keep.
Oh yeah. Oh, they look delicious.
Through the night, he's still waiting, wishing time could make it right. He is waiting. Dawn is bringing morning light. He is waiting to end this fight. She's still waiting, holding on through the night. She's still waiting, wishing time could make it right. She is waiting. Dawn is bringing morning light. She is waiting. He's still waiting, holding on through the night. He's still waiting, wishing time could make it right. He is waiting. Dawn is bringing morning light. He is waiting.
Just finished. Well, we didn't finish, but we just hit pavement on section 3. We cleared it with the work of some other people that were working the other direction a couple days ago. But yeah, section 3 is clear. That's awesome. I'm glad we were the first people of the year to be able to complete it. That's pretty cool. I think we're going to try to find some food in Wenatchee and then head to section 4 for camp.
Sweet.
Oh, then the soft shackle.
And retrieve the soft shackle that miraculously made it down that whole section.
It rode on the hood for, what, 40 miles?
Something. Who knows?
We would descend into Kashmir, eat dinner in town, and head up the beginning of Section 4 in the dark. We would luck out and find an amazing pull-off pretty early. We were exhausted. We would wake up to amazing views and a beautiful morning. Section 4 would be short, fast, and fun. We set off. If you're doing this, definitely visit Chumstick Mountain. While we were up there, we saw the largest ladybug hatch we had ever seen. We descended Chumstick Mountain, found a pull-off, and made lunch. We saw a point of interest on Onyx called the Jungle. We had to check this out. There is an alternative route available, and I would definitely recommend it if you don't like pinstriping. But the Jungle was beautiful and offered incredible views of Lake Chelan. Before long, we were through the Jungle and on pavement. We headed down to Lake Chelan. Lake Chelan is an incredible lake, and definitely somewhere I would like to spend more time. But we had more miles to go. We fueled up and began up Section 5. We stumbled onto the perfect campsite. It was my favorite of the trip thus far. We made a fire and enjoyed the beautiful sunset. We set our alarms for 4:30 a.m. We wanted to see the sunrise from the tent. It was perfect.
Sleepyhead this morning, so I'm gonna make some pancakes and tea and see if that'll get him up.
No.
You refuse?
I refuse.
Sleeping Beauty arises.
Can I get out?
Come on down.
What if I trip because my feet aren't, my shoes aren't on?
Then it's a good thing I'm recording.
Yeah.
Hi, good morning. Goodbye.
Sections 5 and 6, here we come. We figured if we started early, we could knock them both out in one day. But there were some points of interest we wanted to check out in Section 5. We packed up camp one last time and headed out. We found this random fireplace on the side of the road. We saw Ghost Town as a point of interest on the map and assumed this was part of it. We also found a mine on the map as well, so we drove up to check that out. The end of Section 5 came quickly. We fueled up at the only pump in town between Section 5 and 6. One more section to go, and we were committed to completing it today.
Blocking the road. Oh, they're actually blocking the road! What in the world is going on here? The BDR cows. What? Look at them. That's cool. I guess. Hey, fellers. Hi. Hi, guys. Howdy. You guys are big. Oh. Oh, more cows. Uh-oh. This one doesn't like me. Hang on. I want to get in the truck.
He looks kind of scary. He's kind of... Yeah.
Oh. Hello. He's good looking.
Excuse us.
Howdy.
I'd like to drive by.
Oh.
Oh, okay. We're gonna walk right. That's a good call.
Wow.
Good call, buddies.
Hi.
Yes, in front of the car. Are we hurting them?
That's one big horse.
Can we retrieve the beanie? Shit. I don't know if I can safely retrieve the beanie.
Get the beanie.
Try. Need a little more reach. Just need a little more fingers. I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
Oh. Oh.
This is the most dangerous thing. Why are we doing this?
You got it!
I got it!
Beanie retrieved! Over 100 cows would let us pass, and we would near the end of Section 6, before the final sunset of the trip stopped us. We would spend over 30 minutes here, taking it in. Sad it was over, but realizing there are many, many more backcountry discovery routes in the United States, and we would definitely find ourselves on them in the near future.
Got my fast shoes on. Got my fast shoes on. Oh yeah. I hope not. Maybe.
You found yourself at the end of this film, but remember, in the beginning I told you that none of this was an exaggeration. That is true. All of this was genuinely as fun as it portrays on camera. If this film inspired you in the least, get out there. It is even better in person. This is our land to enjoy. Before you know it, life will be over. Kamelia and I, thank you so much for watching. And if you've made it this far, here are some of the funny moments from this last week. Mm-hmm. Huh?
Please don't put that in there. I hit the beep. I'm sorry.
What are they doing? Did your guys' steering wheel stop working?